It's Friday night, and the mood is right. We're gonna have some fun, show you how it's done, TGIF.
He's the most irritating neighbor on the planet, but the Winslows invite him to join in their Christmas celebration every year. Steve Urkel, the ultimate nerd, is a nuisance, but considers the Winslows family. After all, family matters. Throughout the series, Urkel celebrates Christmas, causing chaos to the Winslows, always telling him to go home.
Now go!
All right, Laura. I'll go.
Reviewing the series in the Urkel animated movie, here's how Steve Urkel celebrates Christmas.
It's the bigger love of the family.
Steve visits the Winslow family since his parents left him alone for Christmas.
My parents decided to go alone this year to renew their vows.
A second honeymoon?
No, they're renewing their vows not to have any more children.
With mistletoe attached above his head, Steve attempts to get a kiss from Laura, who hangs a candy cane on his puckered lips. Rachel is concerned that she can't find the Freddy Teddy Richie wants for Christmas. The battery-powered bear whose mouth moves, blinking eyes, and tells stories is a popular toy sold out everywhere.
Battery-operated bear that moves his mouth and blinks his eyes and tells stories.
Sounds like the guy I went out with last week, except his batteries went dead.
Carl will ask his co-worker Al Mushman for help. He can find anything.
He can find anything?
Right, Mama.
I'll tell him he can find me here tonight at 8 o'clock.
Carl manages to track down a toy store with 2 Freddy Teddys left. He buys the last Freddy Teddy with the little old lady behind him accusing him of cutting in front of her. She grabs it out of the box with the entire line fighting over the bear, ripping it apart.
Perfect family. Look how you decked these halls.
Thank you, Steve.
Why, you put the berry in Christmas, the no and Noel, the in spirit.
Decorating the tree, Laura hangs the antique ornament from Grandma Baker. Richie pulls Steve aside to tell him he wants a Freddy Teddy.
Have you been a good boy this year? I had a pretty good August.
Steve tells him not to worry, Santa will bring you what he wants. Eddie and Laura tell Steve he shouldn't have promised Richie because Rachel's having a difficult time finding a Freddy Teddy. Urkel's confused since Santa will be bringing him the toy. Eddie and Laura, looking at each other, tell him that Santa isn't real.
Hasn't anyone ever told you that he's not real?
Well, I've heard rumors, but I try to ignore vicious gossip, you know? There's even an ugly rumor floating around that I'm a nerd.
To prove that Santa is real, Steve writes that he wants for Christmas, and he will see if Santa gives him what he wants.
Did I do that?
He tries to apologize, but Laura tells him to go and don't come over Christmas morning or ever again.
And that will be my Christmas present to you. Merry Christmas, Laura.
When he broke my ornament,
It was an accident. Steve can't seem to help being clumsy.
On Christmas Eve, Laura regrets how she treated Steve.
So you want to apologize?
No. I guess I should, huh?
She goes over to apologize, finding Steve in his basement singing Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, with a small tree counting the Christmas card he received and eating his unappetizing Christmas dinner. Laura apologizes and invites him to spend Christmas with her family. Steve gets dizzy.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
On Christmas morning, Steve yells for the family to wake up. They all begin to open presents. Laura and Steve exchange gifts, with Laura giving him a genuine canvas wallet, while Steve gives her a Steve Urkel doll that talks.
Your very own Steve Urkel doll. Did I do that?
Rachel asks Richie if he likes the bike he got, but he prefers his Freddy Teddy. Everybody looks confused because nobody got it for him. To prove that Santa is real, they open up Urkel's letter to see what he wished for.
Santa Claus, I've decided to ask him for the most impossible present I can think of. To spend Christmas with my favorite people in the world. The Winslows.
Urkel looks up and thanks Santa.
Thanks, Santa.
As Rachel begins to sing, "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas" with the family joining in. Steve stops by the Winslows as they're decorating the tree with his new tree flocking invention.
Richie, this is my latest invention. The amazing Urkel Super Turbo Tree Flocker.
A tree flocker?
Yep, I can flock anything in less than 30 seconds.
He demonstrates how it works, but as usual, the invention doesn't work as it should. He covers the tree, along with Carl, in fake snow.
Did I do that? Yeah, do it again!
Finishing shopping, Laura comes out of the mall with her packages, including an expensive Christmas ornament she got for her mom. Urkel pulls up in his BMW Inzetta, offering to take her home. Not wishing to be seen in the car or with Steve, Laura tells him to go away. Ignoring her, Steve grabs her bags, loses his footing, and falls on top of the bags, breaking the expensive ornament.
Wow! Steve! Don't worry, I'm fine.
As usual, Steve is apologetic and Laura is angry. She tells him to go away as she's tired of him ruining her life, wishing Steve could find out what it's like to be her.
I wish you knew what it was like to be me.
Laura's guardian angel, Tyrone P. Ty Jackson, appears to Laura and pulls out his angel remote, stopping time.
Now that's good.
Oh, thank you very much. You should hear me play keyboards. I do this Ray Charles number that's serious.
He's here to grant her wish and tunes the TVs in the window to ABC, the Angel Broadcasting Channel. If he can show her how awful she treated Steve and change her ways, he will get his wings. On the screen, we see an alternative universe where Steve is Eddie's successful brother. He's Carl's favorite son, shaming Eddie for not being like his charming, responsible, handsome, and popular brother.
Steve is my brother?
No, he's Eddie's brother. Remember, you wish that Steve could find out what it's like to be you.
But Tyrone reminds her that she is no longer a Winslow and is now Laura Urkel, a geek just like Steve Urkel with all his mannerisms.
Season's greetings, Winslows!
Ty magically transports Laura into Laura Urkel to experience what it's like to be Steve.
Hi, Carl. Steve, my little stud muffin.
She hits on Steve, looking for a kiss and calling him her stud muffin. He refuses her advances and tells her to get lost, but just like Steve Urkel, Laura Urkel ignores his demand.
Yeah, why are you so happy? He just told you to get lost.
But he said, get lost, Laura. Yesterday, it was get lost, Fido face. I'm wearing you down, baby.
She accidentally wrecks Harriet's gingerbread house by having the Winslow men fall on it after slapping Steve on the back, causing him to...
Whoa! Did I do that?
Using the same words Laura used on him in the real world, Steve tells her to get out of his life and he never wants to see her again.
I don't want to think about you, I don't want to talk about you, and I don't want to hear about you. From this moment on, you don't exist. Goodbye and good riddance.
remote, Tyrone brings Laura back into the real world.
I acted like a nerd, but
What?
I have feelings just like anybody else.
She vows to be nicer to Steve and never yell at him like that ever again. Ty gives Laura a second chance, just returning her in time before she yells at Steve.
And don't worry, I'm fine.
Hey, don't worry about it. The important thing is you're okay.
What?
Steve wants to know if Laura forgives her. He asks her if she's suffering from a nervous breakdown or if her feelings toward him have changed.
From now on, I'm gonna try very hard not to hurt your feelings.
You love me, don't you?
They look at the top of the tree, and the star lights up, and Laura takes it as a sign that Tyrone has received his wings.
Who are you talking to?
Oh, my guardian angel. He just got his wings.
Oh, of course. Nervous breakdown.
Eddie is trying to find a place to hide Laura's present, and Richie casually mentions he hopes he doesn't hide it where she hid his.
Are you telling me you know where my present is hidden?
Uh-huh. Forget it, Eddie. There's no way I'm talking.
$2.
Garage, gray file cabinet, bottom drawer.
Eddie hands him the money, with Richie telling him to hide the gift in the garage. Laura then comes in with a present for her dad and casually mentions she doesn't know where to hide it. But Richie knows. Handing Richie $2, he tells her under Carl's bed.
Boy, business is booming this year. I wish I had a bigger family.
Carl comes home in a bad mood. A man filed a police report claiming that someone stole all of his family's Christmas presents. Feeling bad, Carl took donations at the precinct for the man.
Oh, Carl, you're sweet. You're a good man.
I'm an idiot, Harriet. It was a con. He's a crook. He took advantage of my sympathy, and he spent the money on cheap wine and hookers.
Urkel is wrapping gifts in the kitchen when Carl joins him to wrap a crystal music box he got for Harriet. Fragile, but after an awful wrapping job, Steve offers to help. While he's wrapping the gift, Carl admires the gifts that Urkel already wrapped and picks up a heavy gift meant for Eddie.
This one's heavy.
Yeah, that's a gift for my best bud, Edo. Why, it's a 20-pound... dumbbell.
Speechless, Steve suggests they go shopping and decides to take the train.
Oh, yeah. You like the train, don't you, big guy?
On the train ride home, Urkel in the Christmas spirit announces to the car, "Merry Christmas," with everybody telling him to shut up.
Happy holidays, ma'am.
Drop dead, Four Eyes. What's so funny, Fatso?
Even Santa is annoyed and begins to drink. Annoyed by the shopping experience, Carl says that this was an awful Christmas and can't get any worse when the subway car loses power.
And I'm with you. This has got to be the worst Christmas of my life.
Aw, don't say that, big guy. Things will get better.
Well, they can't get any worse. Well, I was wrong. They just got worse.
Train stuck. Steve attempts to play a game as Simon Says, but the old woman threatens him with pepper spray. Nobody wants to hear Steve, including a woman he believes is pregnant.
Well, stand up, ma'am.
What?
Well, you of all people should be filled with the joy of Christmas.
Why?
Well, here we are on the eve of the day we celebrate the birth of our Savior. And you, too, are great with child.
I'm not pregnant.
Steve begins to sing along to the 12 Days of Christmas, but nobody joins in, and then someone throws a shoe, hitting Carl. That doesn't stop Steve from continuing to attempt to get the passengers to sing along with no luck, except for the guy who sings 5 Golden Rings.
5 golden rings.
Everybody is ready to beat up Steve, with Carl telling him to sit down and be quiet.
Steve, why do you always do this? Now you just made everybody feel worse. Now sit down and be quiet.
But Steve doesn't understand why nobody's happy and begins to talk to people about their Christmas. They begin to come around as he reminds them that Christmas is a feeling they get in their hearts. All of the passengers decorate a tree when suddenly the power is restored and the train begins to run again.
Folks, I present to you our Christmas tree.
Merry Christmas, Steve.
Merry Christmas, Carl.
They return home to no power, discovering Harriet was concerned about them. Carl invites Steve to stay with them, including him in the family hug.
Come on over here, Steve.
Well, me too? Wow, this really must be Christmas.
Carl is baking and torturing gingerbread cookies when Steve walks in. Embarrassed, Carl hesitates, but Steve reassures him just the other day he had a heart-to-heart with a fake Newton.
Hi, Steve. I was just baking some cookies.
Oh, don't feel bad. The other day I had a little heart-to-heart with a Fig Newton.
Steve volunteers to help Carl, beginning to work the dough.
Steve. Shh.
Needing more flour, he rips open the bag, covering the kitchen, and Carl.
Get out.
The Winslows are cleaning out their closets to donate or trash clothes they no longer need. Richie comes in and tells everybody he finished his Christmas list and was able to keep it under 100 items.
Richie, you know there is more to Christmas than just getting toys.
I know. I got clothes on my list too.
Carl reminds him that Christmas is a time to celebrate the ings of giving, caring, sharing, and loving. Feeling bad about himself, Richie calls himself a selfish, toy-grubbing slimeball and will donate the toys he is tired of.
I'm gonna donate some toys.
Hey, you got some toys you're tired of?
Sure, the ones I got last Christmas.
Eddie finds a doll in Laura's box that has seen better
This thing's
days
seen better
and
days.
throws it in the trash.
See ya.
Eddie is wrapping his dad's gift, giving him the money he owes his dad, with Urkel joking that he will need to get a bigger box.
Oh, but I can't for the life of me figure out what to get Laura. I'm at my wit's end.
All right, how about a fruitcake?
A land sakes, man. This is the woman I love, not the mailman.
Just then, Laura comes down and asks Eddie if he knows where her favorite rag doll is, because she can't find it. Realizing he threw out the doll, he confesses he thought she wanted to get rid of it. She's had that doll since she was 6 and tells Eddie that he ruined her Christmas.
I love that doll, Eddie. How could you do something like this?
Laura, I'm sorry. I was just trying to help.
Thanks a lot, Eddie. You ruined my whole Christmas.
Richie brings home a homeless man named Ben to come and live with them.
Richie, who's your friend?
This is Ben. I was playing out front and he walked by. I invited him to live with us.
You what? What's for dinner?
While Ben gets something to eat in the fridge, they pull Richie aside, asking why they brought him here.
Ben's one of those people you were talking about. Someone less fortunate. He's had some bad luck. And you said we should help people like that.
Carl, realizing he's right, says that Ben can have Christmas Eve dinner with them, and then he has to go.
Like this place goes on forever. Oh, I'll never find Laura's doll.
Urkel heads to the city dump to look for Laura's doll, but is overwhelmed by the size and the smell. A stray dog greets Steve, barking that his name is Howard and that he has no family. Steve doesn't have time to talk and needs to look for that doll. He asks the dog has he seen a rag doll, who goes and retrieves a red boot. Urkel does find a Bikini Babes magazine, calls it disgusting.
Bikini Babes magazine? Oh, that's disgusting.
Carl finds Ben a halfway house to live in and invites him to eat Christmas dinner with the family. Ben politely declines that he has to leave after he finished ironing the tablecloth.
I have to leave right after I finish ironing this tablecloth.
Ben, those are my shorts.
He has a lot of work to do tonight and will have to hit a lot of homes, not wanting to disappoint all the children.
And I've got to get up to the North Pole and see how the elves are doing.
Yeah. Ben, are you saying that you're Santa Claus?
Shh. It's our secret.
Ben apologizes about Christmas morning 1958. He got Carl's 5 letters asking for the Commander Crash Dodge space helmet. That was a popular toy that year and he just ran out.
I just ran out, Carl, and I felt bad about it ever since. But I'm sorry. Merry Christmas.
But how did he know that?
On Christmas morning, the family is still opening gifts, but Laura is still sad about her doll.
Cheer up. It's Christmas morning.
I know. But remember, Mom, I got Emily on a Christmas morning.
Waldo shows up saying he can't stay long. He gives Eddie a gift of the same pajamas that Eddie is already wearing. He wanted to get him something he knew he would like. Urkel shows up all dirty and cold, handing Laura a bag with her rag doll that he found after searching for 16 hours.
Emily! Steve, how did you ever find her?
Well, I went down to the dump, and I lucked out. It only took me 16 hours.
She hugs him, giving her the best Christmas gift she ever received. Richie finds one last present for Carl from Santa. Inside is the Crash Dodge space helmet he didn't get as a kid. Carl realizes that Ben is Santa and thanks him.
Thanks, Ben.
Harriet will make breakfast for 9 and Urkel asks, can you make it 10? He opens the door, letting in Howard the dog. The episode ends with the cast singing We Wish You a Merry Christmas and the last time we will ever see Howard the dog. Steve is carrying a box of decorations to the roof, getting himself tangled in the lights. Carl climbs up the ladder and asks what he's doing. Since he's living with the Winslows, Steve plans on decorating their home.
Why, getting ready for the holiday season, of course. Every Christmas I design a visual Yuletide spectacular on the rooftop of my house. And this year, since I'm living with you, I want to design the Winslow roof.
Well, forget it. Now get down.
Testing the lights, Carl plugs them in. They work for a second, but then short out the entire world.
Purdy. Look what you did.
Harriet is getting ready to decorate the tree, but Laura is going to the mall.
Don't you want to help me decorate the tree?
Sure, Mom. I'm just busy, that's all. But don't worry, I won't mind if you do it without me. Bye.
Bye.
Eddie also makes an excuse not to help decorate, disappointing Harriet as well.
But we saved the Christmas tree for the family to decorate together.
I know, Mom, but I'm getting a little old for that stuff now. Love you.
She's upset that none of her children want to decorate the tree. While she can understand they all have lives, there are certain traditions that are more precious to her.
Just that there's certain traditions, especially around the holidays, I still enjoy sharing with my children. And as the years go by, those things become more and more precious to me. I just wish my kids felt the same way.
Grandma Winslow decides to give Laura and Eddie a taste of their own medicine. When they can't find her famous gingerbread cookies, she tells them she didn't make any this year because they are both too old for that tradition. After all, they didn't help their mother decorate the tree.
But had she decorated that tree with you, Laura, and you, Eddie, you know what that would be?
What?
Christmas.
Carl is playing poker with his friends, bragging and shaming each other about the Christmas displays they will be setting up.
My decorations were almost as good as Steve Urkel's.
Now you know you are tripping.
They tell Carl about the Channel 6 decorating contest, but Carl isn't interested until he hears that the winner wins $5,000.
The winner gets $5,000.
Did you say $5,000?
If you could get Steve Urkel to decorate your rooftop, you'd be a shoo-in for first prize.
Knowing that Steve thinks it cheapens Christmas to decorate for money, he pretends to be in the Christmas spirit and will allow Urkel to decorate the roof.
I have finally decided to let you decorate my roof for Christmas.
Ow! Ow! Be still, my Uncle Heart. Why, you're the most loving, caring, unselfish man I've ever known.
Urkel and Carl finish decorating the roof and turn on the lights when they notice the animatronic Santa and Elf are moving too fast.
Think I got a faulty elf.
And something is wrong with Santa.
Working themselves out.
Carl thinks the display is ruined, but Urkel says it still looks nice. Knowing the committee is coming, he tells Urkel that nice isn't good enough to bring the Christmas spirit into people's hearts.
Oh, Carl, it doesn't have to be the best. All that matters is that we did our best.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Now, come on. We're gonna go find ourselves a new Santa and a new elf. What are you smiling at?
Carl and Urkel dress up as Santa and Elf and climb back onto the roof to sit in the sleigh. They pretend to be the animatronic characters, waving back and forth, even quickly changing hands when their arms get tired.
Hey, you know, my arm is getting tired.
Mine too. Okay, quick switch.
Urkel sees that the Channel 6 decorating committee is heading their way, and then realizes that Carl has entered the contest. He gets upset, but realizes that the roof is beginning to buckle.
Are we gonna fall through?
Sitting and getting snowed on in the kitchen, Urkel is upset at Carl for tricking him. He lied to him and only cared about money, and he doesn't like what Carl became.
You're right, Steve. And I'm sorry. And look, I know it's going to be a long time before you forgive me, but I'm hoping you'll dig way down deep in your
I forgive you, big guy.
The episode ends on Christmas morning after Eddie and Laura undecorated the tree and redecorated it to share in a tradition with their mother. Grandma Winslow makes her cookies, and the family sings Joy to the World. Carl comes home with great news. His colleague is going to allow him to go into the woods on his property and cut down a tree. Harriet doesn't understand why he just doesn't go to the corner lot like he does every year. And then Carl reminds her that those trees are not free.
Those trees are not for free.
Eddie and Steve come home with Urkel wearing antlers and carrying firewood. Carl asks Eddie if he'd like to make a new tradition of going to the forest and cut down a tree. Urkel, sad that he isn't a Winslow man, attempts to annoy Carl until he says he can go.
Just a lonely soul.
Oh, all right, you can go!
But it turns out that Eddie can't go, so now it's just Carl and Urkel heading into the woods to cut down a tree.
I bit my antlers.
Laura is wrapping presents when Curtis stops by with a Christmas present of a charm bracelet.
Oh, a charm bracelet. Thank you, Curtis. It's beautiful.
So are you. Merry Christmas, baby.
Interrupting a kiss, Harriet pulls Laura aside to let her know that Stefan is in the kitchen.
Curtis, it was sure great seeing you.
Am I leaving?
Oh, you are? I'm sorry. I wish you could have stayed longer.
Oh, but I haven't opened your gift to me yet.
Child, it's a leather belt. Hope you like it. Merry Christmas.
She quickly sends Curtis on his way just before Stefan smoothly walks into the living room, getting a hug from Laura. Carl and Steve wander around looking for the best tree. Annoyed, Carl finally yells and chooses one, allowing Steve to chop it down. Carl grabs the axe to cut down the tree himself when it starts to snow, covering their tracks. Realizing they may get lost, Carl pulls the tree out of the ground, roots and all. They discover that they've been walking around in circles, realizing they are lost in the woods.
Oh my God. I think we're lost.
Back at home, Laura returns from her date with Stefan. She warns Laura that she can't be kissing both men and needs to let one of them off easy. She tells the story that when she met Carl, she was dating a guy named Daryl. She didn't tell Daryl either.
One evening, your father was kissing me goodnight, and Daryl came strolling up the sidewalk.
What did Daryl do?
He looked at me for a moment and then just walked away. I'll never forget the hurt in his eyes.
Taking her mother's advice, Laura breaks it off of Curtis, who meets Stefan coming out of the house. He refuses to shake Stefan's hand and threatens him if he ever hurts Laura.
Okay, fine. You won. But if you ever hurt Laura in any way, you and me are gonna throw down.
But just so you know, that's never gonna happen.
Steve and Carl build a fire to stay warm using some matches Steve had in his Urkel travel belt. The fire eventually goes out, and Urkel tells Carl that there is nobody he respects more than him.
There's nobody I respect and admire more in this entire world than you. You're the finest man I've ever known.
Humbled, Carl proposes that they start over their relationship and wipe the slate clean. Steve notices that he can now see the stars, allowing them to lead him back to the car. Believing it was a Christmas miracle, Steve thanks the big guy.
Courtesy of the big guy.
Amen to that.
At home, they decorate the tree and begin to sing "Oh Christmas Tree" as everybody heads to bed. Carl grabs the sandwich, and the milk set out for Santa. Laura finishes icing the gingerbread house she made when Steve comes in telling her he got a job at the mall as a wrapper.
I'm working down at the mall wrapping Christmas presents.
I'm surprised anyone's gonna let you handle breakables.
Getting a job is all about having a good resume, being prepared, and having a professional appearance.
Mm-hmm. Myra hired you?
Bingo.
He begins to admire her house when he notices a spot with missing icing. He grabs the icing to fix it, but Laura tries to stop him, falling backwards into the house.
Well, Laura, I know you're worried that I'm going to hurt your precious little house, but please give me some credit.
Steve, please don't.
Carl and his co-worker Willie bring in a tree cut down from his property as a gift for the Winslow family. He asks Carl if he got the present from Commissioner Geist, realizing they both have the same size package. Willie opens up the present, discovering that the commissioner is cheap, giving them a stick of fudge.
Fudge. What a cheapskate. After all the work we've done, all the overtime putting our lives on the line, and what does the commissioner give us? A lousy, stinking piece of fudge. You want a piece? Give me the nutty part.
All right. Harriet comes home after finishing all of her shopping, except for finding a present for Steve.
Just give Steve some cheese or something with 8 legs and he's happy as a clam.
Richie and 3J attempt to butter up Carl and Harriet for a good present, but Carl already got him one.
Oh, Richie, great news. Your mom called today. It's gonna be here for Christmas.
Really? This is great. This will be the best Christmas ever.
Laura brings down some Christmas lights and tells Harriet that Doc Fleming can't play Santa at the mall. Knowing that Harriet will need to replace the doctor, Carl wonders where's she going to find another Santa at this short notice. Santa and Laura playing an elf, Harry announces that they are open for Christmas at the mall and kisses Carl. A kid yells out that Santa is cheating on Mrs. Claus, but Carl tells him that that is Mrs. Claus in civilian clothing. After several kids, a young boy tells Carl that he only wants one thing for Christmas.
Oh no, I just want one thing.
Oh, really? What is it? A new bike? A jet ski? A computer?
No, I want a job for my dad.
Carl hands him his business card and tells him that he can get him a job.
Thanks, Santa.
You're welcome.
Hey, Dad. You think you'd be able to get his father a job?
I sure can.
We're down at the precinct?
No, down where I have more pull. The donut world.
Meanwhile, Steve is dealing with angry customers waiting for their wrapped packages.
Oh, that's $6.95.
Huh?
$5.
What?
Oh, it's on the house. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, okay.
Myra tells him that he wraps very well, but needs to pick up the pace as they get paid per package.
Then again, Mom loves figurines. So dear.
After dealing with an indecisive woman, Steve begins to wrap sloppy using a staple gun to finish the wrapping. The customers in line begin to argue and fight. Steve yells at them, calling them animals, giving them a speech on the true meaning of Christmas.
This is the season to give and spread love. It's about the way we treat each other during this special time of year. Why don't we wave goodbye to crankiness and say howdy do to holiday cheer?
But they end up wrapping him up with a big bow.
You're all gonna find lumps of coal in your stockings.
Christmas morning, Richie isn't much into Christmas after learning earlier that his mom couldn't make it. Urkel notices that Eddie isn't there, with Mother Winslow saying he left a note that he had to go pick up a gift.
On Christmas Day? Only thing open is 7-Eleven.
I guess I'm getting the same thing I got last year. A Slurpee.
Carl declares open season on all gifts, with Steve Urkel giving Carl and Harriet a framed portrait of their kids, minus Judy. They forget to give Steve anything, so Carl gives him the present he received from Commissioner Geist. Believing it's a stick of fudge, Carl and Steve are amazed when he opens the package, revealing a sterling silver pen.
Oh my God! A sterling silver pen!
Eddie returns home with a Christmas gift for Richie, revealing Rachel. He drove all night tailgating a snowplow. They open all the gifts with Rachel singing "Oh Holy Night," hugging and exchanging gifts in the Christmas spirit, wishing the audience happy holidays.
All night divine.
In 2023, Steve Urkel returned in animation form. However, the Winslows were nowhere to be seen.
I figured it might be nice to see if I could breathe new life into something old.
Oh, sure. Kind of like rebooting an old movie or TV show.
Steve Urkel celebrates Christmas and every other holiday at this time of year. He jumps on the bus and heads to the mall where he discovers an undecorated mall lacking tinsel and Christmas decor. He visits the department store Santa, befriending the elf helper Robin, who points out that nobody comes to the mall anymore. After discussing the differences between the store version versus the real Santa, he sits on Santa's lap and asks for the rarest cheese, the Serbian donkey cheese. Encouraged by a rich inventor, Urkel moves to become a holiday disruptor. He builds a sleigh that can deliver Santa to your doorstep instead of visiting the mall from an app. The app begins to malfunction when Steve loses control of how often Santa can be requested. The sleigh crashes and destroys the Santa village and the department store Santa's pants. Hoping to become one of Santa's helpers, he continues to make new inventions, including a gaming app that awards points when people spread holiday cheer.
Where's your ugly sweater? Points.
Watch some holiday movies on my phone for points.
The game becomes addictive and is less about the holiday and more about winning. Feeling guilty, he heads to the North Pole to get the real Santa's help, discovering that Santa is a Yeti. They travel back, overtaking the app and convincing the users of the true spirit of the holidays. On Christmas morning, Urkel awakens to Santa, bringing him the rare Serbian donkey cheese.
Donkey cheese!
We don't know what happens to the Winslow family following the end of the Family Matters series. Does Steve and Laura get together, or does her true heart live with Stefan, or even the Urkel bot? We can assume that even if he's in a relationship with Laura, Carl, Harriet, Eddie, Laura, Rachel, Richie, and Grandma Winslow will consider him as part of their family. Because that matters.
Me 4. And me 5.
Well, that's how Steve Urkel celebrated Christmas. Who should I feature next? Leave me a comment below and be sure to hit the like and that subscribe button. I'm the Christmas aficionado, and remember, stay off the nightmares.
From all of us here at Family Matters to all of you out there, Happy Holidays! And remember, fireworks can be dangerous.